Трансляция у нас пошла. Звук есть. Отлично. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять. Будем форум продолжать. Всем привет. Большое спасибо, что подключились. Сегодня у нас 5-я трансляция в рамках 28-го прикладного концептуального форума. И сейчас планировалось, что люди из-за рубежа описали бы нам свой взгляд на будущее человечества. Но пока товарищи находятся в процессе подключения, у нас есть первый спикер. И сейчас давайте послушаем Викторию, что она хорошего нам скажет. Так, Виктория, видим, слышим, все в порядке, можно начинать.
Oh, hello all. We planned a conference today. My name is Victoria Mariupolskaya. I'm from Russia. And hopefully Jan Yushin will be joining me and also saying what he wants to say on the topics. We planned a conference and 14 people wanted to join us. Now 3 people wrote that they can't join us today. They excused themselves, but we were expecting, well, at least someone else. It's kind of sad that I'm alone in this video, but all right, I'll say what I want to say, and maybe I'll speak for more than 5 minutes since I have the opportunity. But I'll try to keep short. You see, many of you had the chance to visit my profile in VK, and you've seen videos confirming that kids in Ukraine for the last 30 years have been taught to hate and kill the Russians all over Russia. I quote, "Let Moscow lay in ruins. We don't give a damn. We will conquer the whole world. Death, death to the Muscovites. We shall recover Crimea and then Kuban. And we will chase away the Moscow skunks. We instill the same ideas in our children. Beat the Muscovites, pile up the dead." That's what children chant. They scream those words out. That's what they're taught, which is crazy, but that's the reality. Well, not all the kids in Ukraine, of course, but this is a sad reality that takes place. Now, people are being paid for the job of teaching children how to hate, which is unnatural for their nature and destructive for their souls. The truth is, in Russia, well, Ukraine included, the school textbooks are written and printed for George Soros's money. That's what's been going on for the last 30 years. My own kids in Russia are also being brainwashed at school with a different kind of propaganda, but also mostly anti-Soviet and Russophobic. Well, of course, I talk to my kids about what they're being taught in history classes, and I try to help them overcome this propaganda. But it's hard because it's hard to gain kids' trust. It's like a parent versus school. So you have school's authority, teacher's authority versus parental authority. So it's a war going on, informational war going on inside the family. And I think we're all dealing with that nowadays. And it's important to understand why this takes place. Usury is a form of robbery, and therefore moneylenders are interested in teaching kids to hate other people and not notice the crime of usury. Robbery of rich Russian resources by the usurers can continue on the only condition that the whole Russian nation is exterminated. The job of extermination of Russia was laid upon Germans during World War II, and now it is laid upon the Ukrainian kids who genetically and historically are Russian. It's a vicious but very simple plan if you think about it. According to this plan, the demonization of Stalin and Putin is a must. Once usury is banned, nobody would be interested in investing into such forms of kids' education, and Russophobia will cease to exist. It's interesting that the biggest profits from World War I were made by the American monopolies. By issuing a loan of $10 billion, they received more than 2 trillion modern dollars in profit. In 1924 through 1929, Berlin received $4 billion from Washington and London, which is equivalent to several $100 billion at the current exchange rate. In the 1930s, the leading German banks and almost 280 firms and corporations of strategically important branches of German industry found themselves under the complete control of American finance capital. According to the official report of the U.S. Department of Commerce, from 1930 to 1935, American corporations and banks allocated more than $1.5 billion to German industry in the form of investments and loans. By the beginning of the war, American corporations had invested $800 million in the economy of the Third Reich. Standard Oil, owned by the Rockefellers, which owned the German oil refining industry and the production of synthetic gasoline, allocated $120 million. General Motors, which owned the German company Adam Opel, allocated $35 million. Ford, which controlled 100% of shares of German automobile concern Volkswagen, 17.5. Among the investors, we also find J.P. Morgan's General Electric, controlling the core of the entire German radio and electrical industry, the corporations Siemens, Osram, and Allgemeine Elektrizitätsgesellschaft. International Telephone and Telegraph, which owned a third of the shares of the German aircraft manufacturer Focke-Wulf. The core of the German chemical industry, Interessengemeinschaft Faberindustrie. The Reichsbank in May 1933 received American loans for $1 billion, and in June, a loan of $2 billion from the Bank of England, and the agreement to suspend payments for servicing and repaying British loans previously received by Berlin. The Bank for International Settlements, established by the central banks of England, France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, and 3 private Morgan banks, was under the complete control of the Nazis during the war years, and its president was the American banker Thomas McKittrick. It was this bank that received all the gold worth $380 million looted by the Nazis. Now, the list of bankers goes on. Those who financed a German Nazi party includes the banker Lyman, the bankers Lazars from the USA, and Lazars from London, Max Warburg from Hamburg, and his brother Felix from New York, etc. Nothing personal, just the Zionist investment and international Zionist profitable business while the world is fighting the bloodiest battles. US banks were the main investors and the beneficiaries of both World War I and World War II. It would not be a mistake to call World War I and World War II business projects of moneylenders. Moneylenders made the biggest profit from the investment into the bloodiest wars known to mankind. Just think about it. And the preparation and conduct of war is the most convenient argument for the ruling elite of Western country in favor of increasing public spending and public debt. And Russophobia is also a business project for them, which brings even more profit. Here's an example of Russophobia. The profit that came from Russophobia no more than 30 years ago. On January 28, 1992, US President George W. Bush delivered a speech to the US Congress and declared, "With the help of God, America won the Cold War." James Baker, at that point US Secretary of State, publicly declared for the first time, "We have spent trillions of dollars over the past 40 years to win the Cold War against the USSR." US President Bill Clinton later said, "We spent many billions of dollars to bring Yeltsin to power, but they more than paid off. We knocked out a competitor, Russia, and for negligible prices pumped out of Russia 20,000 tons of copper, 15,000 tons of aluminum, 2,000 tons of cesium, beryllium, strontium, and more." The US profit to bring Yeltsin to power was more than 5,700%. This has never happened in history, end of quote. During the 90s, I remind you that during the 90s, Russia had lost over 30 million civilian lives, and the damage to our national economy had exceeded the damage from Nazi Germany during World War II 3 times. In the latest years, national battalions in Ukraine received lethal weapons from the United States. As indicated in the report on the implemented projects of international assistance to Ukraine, the US State Department and the Pentagon transferred a total of almost $80 million to the National Guard. In the year 2020, Washington allocated $275 million to promote the security of Ukraine. American supplies more than lethal weapons to Ukraine and sends its instructors. On February 25th this year, US President Joe Biden instructed to provide $600 million in financial assistance to Ukraine, including for defense. On February 27th this year, the representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Joseph Borrell, announced that the European Union would supply Ukraine with lethal weapons in the amount of 450 million euro. And according to the German Foreign Ministry, Germany supplied Ukraine with a large number of weapons that were not even mentioned publicly. My key point is that killing Russians is very profitable for the moneylenders. They just want you to join the club and lay your life down for their business model. We are now all in bondage. We are now all enslaved by financial capital. And we need to realize that this is a global problem and it needs to be solved by global efforts. Coming out of bondage means taking responsibility for managing the world's finances. What gives us the moral right to get out of bondage, and what gives us the power over banksters? Well, their crimes, of course. The ultimate goal of the financial capitalists is to create a one world government run by banksters through the banking network. And we are dependent on financial capital because we do not manage the world's finances ourselves. Excuse me. Now, Bolshevik party leader Vladimir Lenin warned the world about financial capitalists, but he didn't say how to manage world finances in the interests of mankind, and he didn't say how non-profit banking should work. He didn't have time for that. I'm the one trying to figure it out. And here's what I'm thinking about it. I think we all need to take these as principles and build our future on them. First, we must have a non-profit banking activity. Non-profit banking, that's what I'm pushing for. Second, there should be a ban on usury worldwide. Third, we need a ban on private ownership of large means of production. Fourth, coordinated, centralized management of world finances in the interests of mankind. Fifth, a ban on trading in currencies. Six, economic self-efficiency of all countries. And seven, for each country, 2 contours of monetary circulation: cash in the national currency in the domestic market of the country, and non-cash in the single world currency for world economic growth and foreign trade operations. How does that sound to you? Now, Jan, would you like to comment on that? Well, I certainly can't hear you.
За выступление. Никого мы.
Well, I don't see anyone joining me either. So no one to listen to, no one to ask questions. Feels kind of lonely here. Being the talking head.
Видим, поэтому...
I mean, this is meant to be a conference. Come on, people.
Вопрос. Попробуем с вопросов.
Oof.
Вот так.
I wish someone asked a question or added something. Oh, wait. I have someone writing me here. Another person is writing. I was looking forward to this, but I hope there will be another meeting in the future. Best regards. And I have a message. From Massimo Colombo. Now, where's he? He's from Italy. He can't make it today, but he's asking me to voice his opinion. I'm gladly doing so. He's saying, my words I wanted to say today, to fight this system that is following common people only money interests. We have to do something. Join all together in all countries to have more power. Trying to make a party or buying space enough to gain freedom and mail one new state. It's not easy, it's long term, but it's the only way. In the meantime, sustain independent information. Will you repeat my words to all people? Thank you. Well, I've just shared your opinion, Massimo. Sorry you couldn't make it. Now, Jan is writing here. Now, Jan, do you want me to translate this and voice your opinion for you since we can't hear you? Is that what you're saying? Jan is saying that showing Russia as an enemy in the West is a very old process. How is it different in the 21st century from the same process in the 20th century or earlier? Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. How is it different today? Well, Russia is demonized, and it used to be demonized in the past. Well, in the demonization of Russia, I don't see anything different, really. The Russian Empire was demonized, and the Soviet Empire was demonized, and Putin is demonized today. So in the very process, there's nothing different. But there's a difference in our bondage. Russia fell into this bondage, usurious bondage, at the end of 19th century. And the very reason for the World War I to start, for Russia to participate in World War I, was that Russia was in debt, and this debt had to be paid. So Russia was forced to participate in this war in order to pay this debt. But then the state of Russian Empire was destroyed, and Bolsheviks refused to pay this debt. And Russia came out of this bondage. Russia broke free and defended its financial and economic freedom during World War II. That's a huge difference. And then we're back in this bondage again. For the last 30 years, we've been enslaved again as a country. So it doesn't matter for the usurious whether we are enslaved by them or not. They demonize us anyway. So it's better for us to be free from the bondage. And if we're hated anyway, if we're demonized anyway, then why not be free from it? Why not have the independent financial and economic how do you say that? Why not be economically and financially independent from the usurious? That's what we had. We had independent banking during the Soviet times. We had independent economy. The state controlled the banking system. The state controlled the means of production, the large means of production. So the USSR was like a huge mega corporation, the only employer in the country. The state was the only employer for all the citizens. That was the difference. It didn't solve the problem. It didn't protect Russia from being demonized and attacked. But it did give us an advantage in the war against usurers. So I think we need to learn from what Bolsheviks did, and we need to go back to our independence. We need to go back to our advantage. Now he writes, the cause of crisis is clear. After the socialist propaganda was destroyed, there was no need for capitalist propaganda. Well, actually, that's not true. If that's what I was talking about when I said that Russian textbooks, school textbooks, are written with George Soros's money. If you read Russian history textbooks for our children, then you would clearly see capitalist propaganda in them. Those textbooks teach our children the advantages of market economy. They don't mention the advantages of Soviet times for Russia. It's a clear capitalist propaganda there. So, and plus we have this propaganda of so-called market economy. It's not really market economy, but we have propaganda of it, not only in schools for our children, but also in universities. I mean, economic forums and all the public resources. We have that propaganda in mass media. For the last 30 years, we had nothing but capitalist propaganda. We still have it. I mean, if you watch Russian television, well, not Russia Today. I mean, this is exceptional. But if you watch Russian mainstream media today, then you will get violence propaganda, drug propaganda, alcohol, smoking. You get all those sexual perversions propaganda coming from TV. Is that not capitalist propaganda? I mean, clearly it is. Plus, you had advertisement all the time that teaches people or seduces people into doing their own business. Be the entrepreneur. Learn how to make money. Become rich. We get that from all over the places. We get that on TV. We get that in all sorts of mass media, in papers, in internet, and that's capitalist propaganda. That's capitalist propaganda. Now, Jan Gushin also writes, we don't have one more planet in storage to continue this style of life. How do you say that
Good
in
evening,
English?
Carla. We see you in the broadcast.
Hold on,
I'll use the you can speak.
I'll use the translator. Not good at online translating. Oh, come on.
Hello. Hello, Caroline.
Financial management. I mean, global financial management. Now, imagine if you have a family, I don't know, 5 people, 10 people, you have a family budget. True? Every family has a family budget. Every country has a country budget. And the whole mankind has the mankind budget. Now, let's consider the family. You have a family budget. Now, imagine one member of the family who's enslaving other members of the family. So he's the one managing family finances, and he's the one giving loans, okay, giving credits to other members of the family. And he's getting rich by getting interest back. So you have a money lender in the family, you have a usurer in the family, all right? So he's not working, he's not loving, he's not contributing to the atmosphere of your family. But you depend on him because he manages a family budget. So he gives loans to other family members, and by getting interest, he enslaves all the family members. Is that healthy for a family? Well, of course it's not. Of course it's not. To pay their debt, family members have to get some extra income from somewhere. True? Because they have to feed themselves, plus they need to feed this family member that's getting rich by using other family members, by enslaving them. So what do? They go around and they try to somehow get additional resources to feed themselves and to pay the loans. So they need to consume more just to pay this family member that's taking advantage of the whole family. If we don't have this cancer in our mankind, the usurers, if we don't have them consuming so much, consuming our lives, our time, our resources, if we don't depend on them, then there's no need for such consumption. You see, if you ever had a piece of land, if you ever grew fruits and vegetables in your garden, then you know that soil provides. You see, our Mother Earth provides. All you have to do is basically take care of the farm animals. You have to work, be a peasant, basically. You have to work and water your vegetables and fruits and fruit trees. You have to take care of your garden. You have to weed. You have to dig, and so the work that you do as a peasant pays off. You get fed. Plus, you get all the materials for construction. Forest provides you with enough material to build a house and to stay warm. you can have a furnace, right? And you can stay warm during the winter, during the cold days. Soil provides you with food, and animals provide you with food. And then animals also, farm animals, provide you with clothes, right? And with some instruments that you use in a daily life. So about 1,000 years ago, nobody was sitting in the internet. Nobody was making money or videos or on some other artificial activities. Most people were peasants. And the earth is capable of providing for all of us. There's no need for consumption. This extra consumption and extra production is created by the usurer's activity. It's the byproducts of usury. That's why I'm saying we need to ban usury and manage our global budget, our global finances in such a way that nobody takes advantage of someone else. This is possible. This is what our ancestors thought of socialism, and I believe that's possible. Ban on usury. So I myself grow my own fruits and vegetables, and I also grow berries and some healthy plants, and like herbs, stuff like that. I grow them, and it's not the overconsumption. I grow more than my family needs. I don't know where to give it. I take it to the market. I give it as a gift, the product of my labor. There's no overconsumption when you are at peace with nature, when you are in harmony with nature. There's no need for that. All the trouble begins with usury. We let usurers manage world finances. We let usurers consume most of our resources, most of our time, and we're like their puppets. They pull the strings and we dance. We sold out. And this is crazy. This is stupid. We should not do that. We should learn how to be humans and how to manage world finances. So there are different forces that pull us into different future. I already described where I pull people, what kind of future I desire. And we already know what usurers desire. They don't really have our interests in mind. They don't care for how we will fit into the future. They want us dead. They want to own the whole planet. Okay, they want the whole earth to be their private property, and they see us as their farm animals. They want us killed, and they want us to kill each other. They want you to hate me. They want me to hate you. Okay, and they want us to shoot one another so that they can own the planet. And this is crazy. This is crazy. This is not the desired, the future that I desire. Carlo joined us. Okay, then there's another question. I'm sorry if I was too long. I thought I was alone. All right, so yes, Carlo, can you hear me? Hello. Oh, where's Carlo? Oops. Oh, I see. Carlo is not with us anymore. Oh, sorry about that. When I was busy answering the question, somebody joined and then he left. Oh, that's too bad. Well, you're right, Jan. We didn't have the training before we started because nobody joined at the time we were supposed to start. So, all right. You said there was another question. Is there another question? By the way, where do you see those questions? I'm the talking head today. All right, I'm waiting for Young to print the question. We're communicating in VK, so I'm just saying that I'm reading questions from there. I translate them into English, then I try to answer them. So here's another question coming up. That was your question, Jan. I see. Oh, I wish you voiced those questions yourself. I wish I could hear you. So we have a technical difficulty, I suppose. All right, Jan is suggesting that we finish for today. Well, we got what we got. Thanks for listening. I hope we do better next time.